Well, I just wanted to thank Marcus, the Parkville Living Center, the Presbyterian Church for having the opportunity to speak with you guys tonight. My name is Alysen Abel, and I am the Public Works Director for the City of Parkville. Um, we have a lot of great staff at the City of Parkville, and Public Works is no exception. We do all kinds of things to support our community. Anything that doesn't neatly fit in another department, it gets stuck in Public Works. So just kind of think of, we take care of anything and everything that has to deal with the city. Again, I'm Alysen. I've been with the City of Parkville for nearly 7 years. I came from municipal government. I worked at the City of Overland Park prior to coming to Parkville. And before that, I was a consulting engineer for various engineering firms around the city. Professional engineer by trade, and love the public service. As soon as I started working in municipal government, I fell in love with it. It's that customer service aspect, that public service aspect that I really fell in love with. So what does Public Works look like in the City of Parkville? Like I said, there's about 20 people in Public Works that help support the city. We have 3 main divisions of Public Works. We have the streets and storm sewer. We have parks. We have sanitary sewer. But there's also some administrative people on the Public Works side that help support our staff. We have an administrative assistant and contract specialist. We have a part-time construction inspector as well as a part-time project manager. So we have a lot of great people within Public Works that help support us, a lot of boots on the ground that I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for all the hard work and effort that they put in every day. And here's a picture of our crew. Like I said, it takes 20 people throughout the entire Public Works to make this work happen. We have 7,000 residents that we support every day. Within Public Works Administration, I had mentioned that there's just a lot of behind the scenes effort. I wish I had the 3 Ps like Kathy and Matt had mentioned earlier, but I don't. But I have a lot of other things on my plate that help support Public Works. We do a lot of contract administration. We do plan review, permit applications, project management, anything that goes on in Public Works. We try to manage all of those projects. On the streets and storm sewer side, we've got about 100 lane miles of streets that we maintain. We've got about 1,800 storm sewer, 1,200 storm sewer structures and 83,000 feet of pipe. You know, all of that is managed by our 6 guys on our streets crew, led by Alan Shank. He is the heartbeat of Parkville. He's been here about 34 years. We do a lot on the street maintenance side. You're going to see a lot of that effort coming up here really soon. We've got our curb and sidewalk program that's going to be starting here in about a month, followed up by a asphalt overlay program. We do a lot of street sweeping, crack sealing, street repairs. We also do the snow operations. We have 10 of our parks and streets and our construction inspector that do the snow operations. We run the 1-ton pickup trucks that you see every day. We equip those with snowplow blades and salt spreaders so that we can navigate all of the rolling hills of Parkville. We have a couple of big projects that are going to be coming up this year. Our first segment of the Route 9 improvements is going to take place on the north side. It is from 45 Highway down to Lakeview Drive, the entrance to Riss Lake. We are going to be bidding that here in the next couple of weeks and hopefully start construction here in the next couple of months. That's going to occur most of 2021 with some final restoration efforts at the beginning of 2022. That is going to look hopefully very much like the picture on the screen. We'll have sidewalks on the west side. We will have multi-use trails on the east side. We'll have decorative streetlights. We will have curb and gutter. Right now, we just have, asphalt and ditch sections along there right now. So there's been a lot of effort that's been made over the last couple of years to relocate the utilities in that area so that we can get everything out of the way so that we can put in the new roadway. The next segment that we're going to be working on, and that's actually going to start here in the next couple of weeks, is a small section of Route 9 right there at 6th Street. From about 7th down to 5th, we are going to be putting in a couple of turn lanes right there at 6th Street at Park College. With that, it's going to look very similar to that other section that you saw with the sidewalk on the west side, the multi-use trail on the east side, the decorative light poles. We are hopefully going to have construction completed by this summer. So hopefully it'll take a couple of months for us to do that work. We received a governor's cost share grant. It's a 50-50 match grant that we received through the state of Missouri to do that project. We have our sewer division. So whenever you flush that toilet at home, that goes somewhere. We have about, I think, almost 2,000 customers on our sewer system right now. We do have a wastewater treatment plant. It is out on FF Highway. It takes about 1 million gallons per day out there. We also have 6 lift stations or pump stations that help treat some of the water. As you know, Parkville is not flat, and sometimes we have to pump the sanitary sewer water up the hill through force mains and pump stations. So in order to make all that work, we have an amazing staff of contract professionals from Alliance Water Resources that help us out every day. And through wastewater, we have several different contracts that help us out through on-call cleaning services. We do an annual CCTV program. Each year we try to find areas that are of high priority to reconstruct some of those pipes and manholes that may need to be reconstructed over time. So we try to continually evaluate our assets below the ground so that we know which areas are starting to fail so that we can stay on top of those repairs. So I can't talk about Parkville without mentioning the parks. We have an amazing park system. We have 200 acres of parks in Parkville. Most of that is along our riverfront parks. English Landing and Platte Landing parks are our 2 primary parks, and we have a lot of great amenities out there with 3 baseball diamonds. We've got how many shelters? 6. I think about 6 shelters out there right now. We've got just a lot of great open space amenities, some natural areas. We've got more active areas. We do have neighborhood parks, and I'll talk about those a little bit later, but we've got Watkins and Adams Park that are over by West Street that, some of those neighbors can go and utilize that space, hopefully even more here coming in the future. And then we also have Pocket Park, which I'll be talking about that here in just a minute as well. So one of the big things that we've finished this year was the connection of the Missouri Riverfront Trail from Riverside to Parkville. And that was a great partnership with Platte County, Riverside, and Parkville to make that happen. So there is a regional connection from one end of Platte County to the other so that people can bike, hike, run, whatever they prefer to do, but they can do it from those activity centers and get from one area to the next. So we were able to get that finished here relatively recently. With that, we did have to construct a wood rail fence along the railroad tracks because we all know that the railroad's right there in the park as well. But in order to provide additional safety, the fence had to be constructed. We also constructed pickleball courts. We have 4 regulation pickleball courts that are located on the north side of English Landing Restroom. You guys may recall that there was a basketball court in that same area. We were able to relocate the basketball court over by the sand volleyball court and kind of create more of an active recreation area in that area of the park. We hope to, once we get consistent temperatures, which hopefully Mother Nature will help us out, in the next couple of weeks, we will be painting those pickleball courts and have those open for everybody to be able to use. As I mentioned, Pocket Park is one of our neighborhood parks. It's right there at First and Main Street. This past year, we went through a master planning process. I want to flip to the next slide. We had public engagement to help us with the future vision of what Pocket Park wants to be. You know, it has suffered over time. Some of the boards up in the decking has deteriorated. Some of the landscaping has gone by the wayside. With a partnership of the Main Street Parkville Association, they've really taken an interest in that area and really have done great things over the last 3 years with the landscaping in that area. So trying to put a little bit more of an investment. So the city is going to be working on improving some areas of Pocket Park along the frontage, that staircase on the south side, possibly moving the Grigsby statue up on the hill. So we've got a lot of exciting things that are going to happen, and we're going to use the master plan as our basis to have projects and priorities and funding for moving in the future. As I mentioned, we have 2 other neighborhood parks. We have Adams Park, that is another one that we went through a significant master planning process. It's really hard to do a master plan during a pandemic, but we were able to do a lot of that through online surveys. We had hybrid open houses. We really tried to get the feedback because we knew that we wanted to proceed with a lot of our projects. Moving forward was the key. So we continued to engage the public to find out exactly what they wanted out of these neighborhood parks. So with Adams Park, you know, we're still gonna be able to maintain that rolling hills that is in front of Adams Park. We're gonna integrate a playground, more of like a rustic playground area where we can utilize those rolling hills a little bit better. And then we also have Watkins Park. We went through the same master planning process and found out what the public wanted out of that. One of the things they wanted was to keep the perimeter trail around the park. And we're gonna build playgrounds. We're going to build a larger shelter. This is going to be a community space for anyone that's within walking distance can come down there, play on the playground, have a picnic. And with the help of Platte County through their outreach grant program, we were able to secure some funding for improvements to Watkins Park this year. So you guys are going to start seeing a lot of improvements in that area this next year with the new shelter building and such. That is at West Street, just south of, I believe it's Elm, that crosses over and kind of kicks right before you get to West Street. Oh, 7th and West is where Watkins Park is. And I just wanted to thank you guys for taking the time today to listen to the presentation. As you can tell, Public Works does cover a lot of different areas around Parkville. We are the heartbeat of the city. You know, whenever it comes to cleanup efforts, we hosted the spring cleanup over the weekend. We're starting the yard waste removal. You know, any of those small events that happen around the city, we're usually involved in some way. So I just want to thank you, and I look forward to the questions in the breakout session.
So what did you get your master's degree in?
So I got my undergraduate in civil engineering. I started working in consulting engineering and wanted to get a master's degree in project management, but I also wanted to keep a feel for engineering while I was at it. So I got my master's in engineering management, started, you know, continuing to work in project management. Then the recession hit. And where I was working, they closed their doors. So I was without a job. I had started my family at that point. My daughter was 3 months old when I got laid off and the company ended up closing their doors. So I was without a job. working in the public sector had never really crossed my mind. I knew engineers that had worked for the public sector, but I thought that I always wanted to be a consulting engineer and be out there and designing things and constructing things. So an opportunity came open at Overland Park, and I started working in planning and development services. On the engineering side, reviewing engineering plans for commercial and residential developments. And I worked there, got a taste for public service, and absolutely loved public service. Then I got my master's in public administration because I knew that I wanted to continue my service to the public, and I wanted to keep learning about it. So I got the master's through KU. And about 7 years ago, an opportunity came up. I was still at Overland Park. There was about 25 engineers. I was looking around. We were all going to be fighting for the same promotions. As positions came open, I knew that we would be fighting over the same positions. And I knew I wanted to go to the next level with my career. Since I was working towards that in my education, I felt that I had the experience. The position at Parkville was open. So I applied for it, and they took a huge chance on somebody. And that was almost 7 years ago, and I've enjoyed it ever since.
So what do you find the most challenging right now between 2021?
No, I'm just going to restate the question in the, is,
So what do you find the most challenging aspect of your job, 2020 to 2021?
and that question is, what do you find what's the most challenging aspect of your job in 2020 and 2021?
I blame COVID for everything. Absolutely blame COVID for everything. I just feel like people are disconnected right now. It's really hard to do a job whenever most of your meetings are over Zoom. You don't get those personal connections. You don't develop those relationships. As somebody that, I've been in the industry for 20 years, over 20 years, and I thrive on those network connections. It's not what you know, it's who you know. And just being able to go into a meeting, to get to know somebody on a personal level. How's the family doing? How are you doing? I know you were working on that home improvement project. How's that going? Just really getting down to, some of the personal aspects of it. I miss that. I miss the personal connection with everyone. Even our board meetings, planning commission meetings, all of those are done virtually. We're going to start going back, I think, in May with a lot of our programs, a lot with our meetings. We're going to start meeting in person. So I think we're going to get that personal connection, and just knowing, we're all in this together. One of the complications that we've had is, COVID. Everybody that, especially at the beginning where, somebody else that somebody knew had COVID, that person had to quarantine, then we were without staff for a little bit, and, trying to balance all of that out. Now that we're starting to get vaccines, we're getting past that, and that's really going to help us to get back to normal. So I think that disconnection that we've had over the last year and a few months, I think that, it's going to take us some time to re-engage and develop those connections.
So what about what's on the horizon for Parkville?
And that question is, what's on the horizon for Parkville?
Oh, we've got a lot of exciting projects. I talked about some of those during the presentation tonight. We've got a couple of roadway projects that we've got coming up. We approved the park sales tax back in 2018 that allows us to have a little bit more revenue so that we can build up areas of the park. We've got different parks projects, improvement projects that we've got on the horizon. So we're starting to develop master plans and studies and trying to figure out exactly what the community wants out of some of these projects so that, we can spend that money where we need to spend that money and prioritize those projects accordingly. Route 9 is going to be under construction for the next 15 to 20 years. It's going to take us a while for us to carve out different segments of Route 9, because we don't have a large budget. We're trying to do the best that we can with the pocket change that we're finding in the couch cushions. I know one thing that's going to be on the agenda coming up here soon is a possible use tax. That's just to level the playing field with our brick and mortar stores that, all of their customers have to pay sales tax. So why not Amazon? Why not some of the online purchases? Why can't we level that playing field so that it's just as fair for somebody to buy something in person in Parkville and get it for the same price as what they would get it online. So yeah, there's a lot of exciting things coming up. It's going to be, my plate's already pretty full. I'm looking forward to all of the projects that are coming up.
Well, I've got a question, and it's about the team or the staff, right?
Mhm.
Like, I saw the organizational chart just for a second, but you're the director, right?
I am.
And so there's staff under
Mhm.
you who are perhaps city planners, or like what are the positions under you, and how would somebody enter into
Mhm.
the public works, or how would they start or get into that program?
Public Works is actually a wide variety of fields. You've got people like myself, that's an engineer that's on staff. I am the Public Works Director, but as the only engineer on staff, I kind of fill that role as city engineer and everything else. I have an administrative assistant who is our contract specialist. As you're going to tell from, as I present each one of these positions, we all wear multiple hats. We have 3 main divisions where we have managers. They're the people that make Public Works happen. We've got Alan, who is our director of operations. He oversees our streets and storm sewer. He's got a lot of institutional knowledge with the city. He has 5 people on his staff that are skilled laborers down to laborers, and a lot of them have high school education. They've got a little bit of know-how to tinker with equipment, machinery. They know how to work the equipment and tools. They learn a lot on the job. We've also got the Parks Division. We've got Tom, who is our Parks Superintendent. He's the one that oversees all of the parks. He has 2 laborers underneath him and 4 seasonal employees. They primarily mow during the seasonal times, but then they also take care of all the park enhancement projects, all the beautifications. They clean the restrooms, they empty the trash, they refill the dog waste bags. They take care of everything, the behind the scenes stuff that nobody sees. We have contract specialists, contract third-party contractors that operate our sewer plant through Alliance Water Resources. Through Alliance Water Resources, we have 3 full-time staff members that operate our plant. I have part-time construction inspector. He works about 24 hours a week. He inspects anything from the commercial developments, making sure that everything is built to industry standards, to keeping an eye on anybody and everybody that's working in the right of way. And then we've got another part-time project manager. He's a retired architect, and he helps out with all of the behind the scenes on the project management side, chasing down the specifications on the planters that we're going to put down in Pocket Park. All of those things that take a lot of time. He's chasing all of that down. He's coordinating directly with the contractors. So it takes a full staff to operate Public Works. And I honestly, it's a lot. And I am thankful that I have everyone. And, everyone has their job to do, and their job is just as vital and just as important because they are the lifeblood of Parkville.
And do you offer internships
Mhm.
for college graduates?
And that question was, do you offer internships for college graduates?
We have offered internships in the past for engineering students. I've had a couple of interns over the years. A couple of those summer interns ended up becoming more long-term interns and working part-time, seasonal, as their schedule would allow. I had one summer intern that ended up transferring from Iowa State to KU, and he was able to still work for us part-time. And that was a really great experience. We've also had students from Park University that have helped us out through like senior design projects and capstone projects. We've had, I know we have a couple of interns in the nature sanctuary through the CAPS program through the high school. So there's a lot of different opportunities. If anybody's interested in having a conversation about what does city work look like, what does public works look like, I would love to have that conversation with you, because it does cover a lot of different areas. We've got Kristen, who I don't know if she's still on there or not, but she is our executive director of the Nature Sanctuary. And we have a really close connection with the Nature Sanctuary because, it takes a lot of hands to run that operation. And she does a wonderful job. And she's a botanist. She can correct me if I'm wrong, but she's got a great landscaping background that has helped her through that position. She also has a lot of volunteers. So if anybody from the community wants to volunteer, we have a lot of Eagle Scouts that do Eagle Scout projects in our park, in our nature sanctuary. We love Eagle Scout projects because that gets us the volunteer effort. It gives them the credit of doing the project.
Awesome. No, it sounds like we're perfectly positioned here in Parkville, where we have big town opportunities, but small town connections, and the ability to impact and influence, have our voices heard in that small townness, but with really big opportunities. So I love that. Yes, thank you so much. I think that probably wraps up our Q&A session. So thank you very much, Alysen.
Great. Thank you.